Hey there, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Delighted to be joined by Mark Horvath with Invisible People. Invisible People did an incredible documentary on the homeless epidemic, particularly in Grant Pass, Oregon.
I mean, I've seen cops break tent poles, just go and jerk on the doors and break the whole doors. I've seen people's whole everything get taken. I had an officer actually ask 2 different women, and I heard it myself, why do you have salt and pepper shakers? Because we like to season our food. And that officer told both of them, well, I have a house, that's why I have salt and pepper shakers. I just don't understand some of them. Some of them really understand that we're human too.
I'm 55 years old, almost 56. I became homeless 2 years, 9 months ago because my husband had just passed away August of 2021. My brother-in-law laughed at me, told me, well, this will get you out of the house. So I didn't really feel comfortable or safe going back to the house that I'd lived in with my husband for 25 years. In the first 6 months that I was out here, from June 30th on, I received probably about a dozen citations.
A lot of attention right now is being paid on the Supreme Court in terms of its total immunity for Donald Trump, but not a lot of attention to the fact that the Supreme Court basically just criminalized homelessness in America, which is what your documentary was about. For people that don't know, there was this decision was based on Grants Pass, Oregon, and essentially local officials there bringing it to the Supreme Court to criminalize public, sleeping on public lands, which is essentially homelessness. Can you kind of give a background on how you got involved with this and the case that just was decided?
Well, let's back up a little bit, because criminalization of homelessness, a punitive response to homelessness, fining, ticketing, and arresting homeless people has been around for a long, long time, with vagrancy laws and anti-sit and lie laws and panhandling laws. I mean, if people had a living wage, they wouldn't be begging for change, right? And the criminalization of homelessness has been growing. Many cities here in Los Angeles, where I live, have been criminalizing homelessness for a long time. What the Supreme Court decision has done is said, hey, it's okay, do more of it. And why this is so bad is we have a homeless problem in this country. And many people think it's because of addiction. And we do have an addiction crisis in this country. But like, if you look at West Virginia, which has the highest per capita drug use of any state in the country, they have very low homelessness. Why? They have affordable housing. For every $100 increase in median rent, homelessness goes up by 9%. Rents in Raleigh, North Carolina are up 75%. Rents in Austin up 40%. Rents in Orlando up 30%. Across the country, rents are going up. Homelessness is going up. It's going to continue to get worse. And what are politicians doing? Hey, let's pass some laws so they go over to your community, because let's be real, it's psychological warfare. Take Grants Pass, a small city in Oregon of 40,000 people that has a extreme, like most cities, affordable housing crisis. There's only a 1% vacancy. And their solution isn't to create a solution to help people out of the park, right? They fine and ticket them. They do. I have another documentary where I followed people around on moving day. I mean, they move people. I call it musical parks. They move people from park to park to park to park to park. It's literally insane. And the only end result is to hopefully move homeless people to that other city. So if Grants Pass is pushing people to another city, guess what? that other city is pushing people to your city, and homelessness is just going to grow. The issue is politicians have become short-sighted. They're thinking about their time in office. They're thinking, you know, I want to believe people are intelligent, right? The people that we vote for. I mean, I probably get slapped around with that belief a lot, but they've got to see how criminalization and arresting people will just make homelessness worse, right? But they're thinking, oh, I'm in office this short time, and I'm going to make decisions based that will keep me in office. I have constituents calling me saying they want that encampment removed. And this is the fault of the homeless sector, right? And it's layered, right? So it has gotten to this point, and there's never been really enough resources, which is the fault of politicians. But politicians only, you know, the business owner calls, the parent calls and says, I want this encampment removed. The only tool the politicians have is police. And we need to fix that. We need to first fix the affordable housing crisis. We need to prevent and solve homelessness. And we need to be able to, as close to real time as possible, get people the help they need. First, prevent them from being homeless because evictions are growing. And second, those that end up homeless, we need to get them off the streets as quickly as possible.
And, you know, something that really I think a lot of people don't get, and I've experienced, I actually first learned this in Portland when I covered a homeless encampment. It was empty when I got there because people were working. Right. A lot of the homeless actually work, but because of the 30-year inflation called gentrification, I call it economic terrorism, in my opinion. But because of gentrification, which is basically these politicians have sold cities to real estate developers, it's not just, you know, people who have mental health issues or people who are hooked on drugs. It's a lot of working people who are now homeless. Right. And this in Grant Pass, which is what the Supreme Court just decided on, it's a public camping ban. Well, where are people supposed to go? It seems to me that capitalism has produced this homelessness epidemic, and now capitalism is then punishing the people that they've put onto the streets. Some might say, oh, they could go to shelters or this and that, but as I'm sure you know, that has its own risks for a lot of
shelters don't solve homelessness. I mean, shelters play an important role. What needs to happen is a community-wide system that starts with affordable housing, eviction prevention, housing-focused shelters, meaning a shelter that actually moves someone from the streets into shelter with the goal of ending homelessness and getting them into housing, and housing with support services. What has happened is that the public, and I believe COVID played a lot to do with this because, you know, and the world we live in, everybody's scared and they're frustrated. And okay, here's these homeless people, and I see these encampments growing. So there's also bad actors that are pushing for more criminalization. And, you know, there's this belief that all homeless people are criminal drug addicts. And as you said, there's a large percentage of people holding one or two jobs that are living in a tent that just cannot afford rent. So even if you believe addiction is the number one cause of homelessness, which it isn't, even if you believe that, the solution isn't forced treatment, which is what they're pushing. Because right now, there's not enough treatment centers for the people that voluntarily want to go into them, right? In California, they just passed the law or proposition that makes it easier for families to force their loved ones into treatment, and there's no treatment available. Second, treatment lasts 28 days, right? That's all insurance is going to pay for, unless you're wealthy and can, pay for your relative or your friend or whatever their treatment. So at the end of 28 days, which it's near, people just don't get sober. You don't do drugs for 30 years. And I was an addict for many, many years. People don't do drugs for years and just in 28 days get off. Then they're exited back to homelessness. So the bad actors are trying to push you in this direction of forced internment camps. They try to do it like with a compassionate spin. Oh, we can't let people die on the sidewalk, so we need to put them into forced treatment, which doesn't work. And if they don't go, then we need to arrest them. In California, that's $132,000 per year per inmate. And that doesn't include all the other, costs like court costs and police costs. That's just a cell, right? So this idea that we're going to arrest our way out of homelessness is insane.
Can I ask you, in your experience making this documentary, something that I find really troubling is kind of this, what you mentioned. It's like this NIMBY mentality, not in our backyard. And, people might be good people. They might give to charity, but they don't want the eyesore of homelessness, in their neighborhoods, et cetera. Can you kind of talk about
Sure.
the people that you see struggling compared with, a lot of, frankly, upper to middle class, liberals, conservatives that just don't want to be bothered in their eyesight with homelessness?
Well, I don't think it has. I mean, maybe somebody should research this at some point, but I don't think it's necessarily just, middle upper class people. I think people in general just don't want to see homeless encampments. I don't want to see homeless encampments, and I was homeless. Where the problem is that we need to solve, and this is what we try to do in Invisible People by educating the public, is the response to those homeless encampments, right? To this conversation, what some of the people want is to force people, and there is a growing momentum. I kid you not. I can't even believe this is going to come out of my mouth. There's growing momentum for forced internment camps. I think it would be a hot ticket. You can, at the beginning of the documentary, Trump said it. I think he was testing the waters. And this election, I thought criminalization was going to be much more powerful. However, immigration and now Joe's age has taken, the front seat of the news cycles, right? But my point is, where we got to get to is focusing on real solutions that will prevent and solve homelessness, because the people that just want homeless people gone out of sight immediately, which I do too, but I am smart enough, or that I care enough to know that a punitive response, arresting people, ticketing people. I mean, in the documentary, and I went back, I was back a couple weeks ago, I'll probably go again. And the one girl, Amber, who we interviewed, who had been ticketed 30 times, she had gotten another 3 tickets in the couple weeks that I was gone, and she can't pay them. So what's the point? But now that the green light has been given, what are they going to do? Put her behind bars? And who pays for that, right? The solutions to homelessness are much more cost effective to taxpayers, but I think people don't care anymore, right? I don't think tax savings resonates with the public as much as they just want homeless people gone.
Right. And, I was kind of horrified. I was just on a mini vacation in Portland. I've never seen anything like this, but I was driving behind a truck and I saw on the back I guess it was I don't know if it was a construction company or something like that, but they were listing their services, and one of them was clearing out homeless encampments.
Oh my
So, I guess they're moving it from the police, which is not a great look, going in at 5 a.m. like stormtroopers, to now just private companies clearing out homeless encampments. So a lot of these, we're now kind of
I did
outsourcing it.
Oh yeah. There's so here in Los Angeles, there's a law called 4118, and there was the politicians actually suppressed the report for over a year, and it finally come out. And I think we did some news posts on this. We post every day videos and journalism news on homelessness. So I have 28 years sober, and I can't remember where I parked my car. So I can't remember all of it. But there is now data how private industry is profiting out of encampment cleanups. I haven't seen on the back of a truck, but I'm sure, people are applying for these contracts in municipalities. And the point of all this, if you're shocked at that, hopefully you will be, you should get mad enough to do something and fix the homeless crisis. Because if you think it's going to be bad now, just wait 5 years or 2 years even, or even a year. It is going to get significantly worse.
And my last question to you, the genius is that the Supreme Court probably didn't take this into account. The Grant Pass decision was about public camping, which essentially is homelessness. But, it's getting hotter and hotter everywhere earlier, which, people are going to start dying of extreme heat in America. And right now, these people are basically they're already being forced to be nomads, pushed out of one corner, one city to another in extreme heat. I mean, this is a dangerous situation for people, who are homeless.
So first off, what the Supreme Court ruled is that it's not cruel and unusual punishment to ticket and arrest homeless people. And that just opens the door wide open. Grants Pass kind of, in their definition, which was an anti-sleeping, basically somebody seen with a blanket could be arrested. It takes it all to a whole new level. One of the things, during cold weather, the stories are very prevalent in media of people, dying of hypothermia. People have always been dying outside for heat or cold. It's always been that case. And with global warming and climate change, whatever you want to call it, it's going to continue to get worse. I occasionally share this on social media. I think the public, many people feel, because they don't view homeless people as humans, which is what my work has been trying to change that. I think many people accept death as a viable solution to homelessness. I kid you not, because every year there's more people dying of homelessness, and the only thing that changes is homelessness gets worse. So if the people cared, we'd do something about it. And it should be a call to action. But I think people are motivated selfishly, everybody. And this, everybody is affected by growing homelessness, whether it be more taxes, whether it be seeing more encampments. And that is why we have to invest in prevention and solutions to reduce homelessness. And I mean, let me put it this way. We know how to solve homelessness. We've known for a long time. We just lack the political and public will to make it happen.
Absolutely. How could people watch this documentary, and how could people find out more about Invisible People?
So invisiblepeople.tv is the main website. You could type in Grants Pass Invisible People into Google or into YouTube, and it will come up right at the top. The documentary is called Illegal to Sleep. It is really a powerful documentary. There's several other videos we've done from grants past. We also have one on Finland that was reducing homelessness, and we have a new documentary coming out on Hennepin County. Hopefully, well, no, it'll be out sometime this month, where we highlight a city in the United States that is reducing homelessness. So as I said, we can do it. We just need your help and to make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. There's very few actual people doing on the ground work in the trenches with the most vulnerable among us. It's certainly not being done by CNN and the rest of those. So thanks, Mark.
Bye.